Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother...
Welcome to the party, pal!
Welcome to Yippee-Ki-Yay Classic. Hey, everybody. How's it going? I'm Ralph Quartucci.
I'm Sean Paul Murphy.
I'm Debbie Murphy.
I'm John Quattrucci.
I'm Drew Gould.
And I'm Chris Coker.
There you go.
Oh,
Okay.
dramatic
Come on,
pause.
come on.
Nice. I like it.
3 weeks into this. We got to wrap that up quick.
I like
Good
it.
job. Good job. Well, hello,
You can
everybody.
fix it in post. It's fine.
Everybody have a good week.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I know everybody has been, before we started recording, everybody's talking about what they watched this week, and everybody seems very excited. So let's get going right to it. Let's start with Drew. What did you watch this week?
Well, I watched something that you recommended last week. I think last week, last time, whatever. It was a movie that was an hour and 50 some minutes long. And the first hour and 20 minutes were pretty dull and disappointing. And then the real mystery of what's going on in the movie was revealed. And it was just so gonzo ridiculous that I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's Malignant, the new James Wan movie. It's on HBO Max. It's not good, but it sure is entertaining eventually.
I'm going to admit, I saw it at the drive-in this week. And
Had it play on the big screen.
I tell you what, the second watch, first of all, I got into it. I got into what James Wan was doing. And I think he was toying with all of us because that's a copy of, like I said earlier, it's a copy of Basket Case. But he's doing things in there that if you looked at it as a bad movie, you go, why are they doing that? And I think he did it on purpose. So my rating last week was a 5. After seeing it again, I'm up an 8.
Whoa.
Because I got into what he was doing.
Yeah,
I got into what he was doing, and on second viewing, I realized it's like watching any movie with a twist at the end. It's like you're watching it for different things, and I caught a lot more, and I enjoyed it much more. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to.
That's okay. I mean, I liked The Conjuring, the first couple of movies, and I liked the Insidious movies, all by James Wan, and the first 2/3, 3/4 of Malignant play almost like we're making a parody of the way those movies look and feel, but also boring. So I was like, what is happening here? Because this is one of those cases where James Wan made these humongous hit movies ever since Saw. And then he made Aquaman, which was one of the biggest movies. And they said, you can do whatever you want. And sometimes when studios or people are free to do whatever they want, they do things you're like, this is really what you wanted to do? You wanted to do The Brave, you wanted to do Malignant, but it was fun. And I don't know what kind of hit it would or wouldn't be without the day and date release, but I'm glad that I watched it.
Yeah.
But what I want to talk about is that what I got sucked into watching this afternoon after I woke up from my nap following my colonoscopy. So it's been a very exciting day. Thank you. Get screened. And, when I think about, dance, voyeurism, sensuality, exhibitionist male sexuality, I think of Sean. Yeah. And
I can see
the only thing that was missing from the Curse of the Chippendales series on Discovery was Sean. Yeah. It is fantastic. You think it's about male dancers and some nutty people, and it's way crazier than that. The story is really insane. It's really well done. It's really well edited. I know some editors that work in these types of channels, and they work hard. And, it's pretty good. But there is one thing I have to warn you about that's pretty frustrating. There's a number of recordings of people by law enforcement, by things like that, and they subtitle it when it's hard to understand it. Except in at least 2 places, some really crucial, like somebody's confessing something or somebody's admitting something, then they don't put the subtitles on. And I don't know what that was about. I don't know what that choice was about. Somebody might have thought, oh, that's distracting. We shouldn't put it there. You needed them. So that was pretty frustrating from a storytelling standpoint. But I think it's 4 episodes and they fly right by. So it's really fun. Plus, it's got Chippendales, and who doesn't enjoy that? So that's what I watched this week.
Oh, yeah. Did you have anything to do with the editing of that? You said it was Discovery,
I might be working on some subsidiary Chippendale projects.
Yeah, you are.
Your future.
Okay.
We are, as it goes to Discovery Plus, and they're doing certain things for YouTube and all, and I see that's on the list of stuff we're doing. So.
Excellent.
All right, I watched it. Debbie started watching it, but I hadn't watched it yet.
It's a good show. Lots of twists and turns, and not just of the bodies. So I recommend it.
Nice writing on that. Sean, Debbie, what did you guys watch?
Well, we watched a number of things, but the thing that I think that stuck out most was the classic sci-fi film Forbidden Planet that Debbie was watching. She had never seen the film before, and I think she loved the science, and of course, I love the whole goofy pseudo Shakespeare of it.
Tempest.
And
Is that Leslie Nielsen?
Leslie Nielsen, perhaps his most famous role as like a straight leading man.
Walter Pidgeon.
Yeah, Walter Pidgeon. Kay Francis.
And Francis.
Yeah.
And Francis.
And Francis.
Hubba hubba.
Francis the Talking Mule. There were a lot of Francis.
Isn't there a robot in there too?
Robbie the Robot.
Bobby the Robot.
And
Everybody's
is there an
favorite robot until Lost in Space.
Yeah.
Yep.
Warning.
So,
Yeah.
Debbie, did you enjoy it?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Wow. Excellent. What year did that come out? 56? When did that come out?
Yeah.
Have any idea?
I think that's right.
I don't know where I pulled that out of my ass. How did I pull that
I
out?
think you may be right on that. So is that an older film you would like, Ralph? I know you.
I think I own that film.
That doesn't mean you've seen it.
Yeah,
That does not mean I've watched it.
Just because you own it doesn't mean you like it.
Oh, okay.
I own it, I think.
That was one of the first big budget sci-fi movies, was that movie.
Well, let me say this about that movie. if I
Please,
may,
please.
Quickly. So that movie just really nails down the concept of eternity.
Okay. Like watching it or in the movie?
the fact that these
Eternal things.
the civilization
The
was
way
so
it was done, the machinery.
that existed forever. That it's existed millions of years before
There you go.
civilization. Yes, there is the robot. Why am I not
John.
surprised, John?
I love
Surprised
that
it's not
movie.
life size.
It's one of my favorite. If I could afford it, I'd get the life size. Believe me.
One thing that struck me about the movie, it's sort of like Bride of Frankenstein, that there just happens where they work, there just happens to be a lever that blows everything up.
Right.
It's like, here, do this. Now push that.
Right.
It's like, and he pushes it, goes, now the entire planet is going to blow up in, 30 seconds. It's like, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
There are other things on this planet.
That was one of the only times Disney coordinated with another studio. They're the ones who animated the lasers and the id. Disney did the animation on that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but
Yeah.
that was
What a fine company Disney
state of
is.
the art at the time
Way
it
ahead
came
of its
out.
time.
Yeah.
But it's still a very highly entertaining film today.
Nice. I'll have
And
to
it's like
watch
the
it.
Star Trek.
I'll have to dig it out of my
Star
collection.
Trek is a takeoff of Forbidden Planet.
Yeah.
The whole Star Trek or the original?
No, the original series, not the lame ones afterwards.
Lame. What?
Yeah, the lame ones. What do you think about William Shatner going up to space at 90?
I think that's fantastic.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I can't wait to get on the shuttle.
Yeah.
Have you seen his YouTube where everybody's doing impressions of him and he's rating them?
Yes. It was hilarious.
He's kind of a douche.
He is. But he admits it. He admits it.
All right, John, what'd you watch?
Well, I had kind of a rough week. I've been kind of down and I've had a lot of weight on my shoulders. And so I was looking for something light to lighten my mood. And it just so happens that Turner Classic Movies has 1972's What's Up, Doc with Barbara Streisand and Ryan O'Neal, directed by Peter Bogdanovich, which is a complete takeoff of the Howard Hawks 30 and 40 screwball comedies. And I hadn't seen it in a long time. I actually saw it in the movie theater. And I absolutely loved it. It was hilarious. I laughed throughout the whole thing. Barbara Streisand has never looked more beautiful without the gauze in front of the filter, all the filtered stuff she does. She was funny. Now, I did a little research on the movie. She hated it. She hated the movie. And it was number 3 in the box office in 72, only beaten by The Godfather and The Poseidon Adventure. It was Madeline Kahn's debut. It was Austin Pendleton's debut. The cast in it was great. And it was just as funny as I remember it was, but looking back on it, much older and being much more into the Howard Hawks screwball comedies, you see how much they took from those. But it works really, really well. And I don't think, and I'm not a huge Streisand fan, I'm not going to lie.
Neither am I.
I've never seen her more likable than in this movie. She was just so good in it. And she got to sing So she got to use her voice, and at the time she was seeing Ryan O'Neal, so the chemistry between them was palpable. But it was really funny. If you've never seen it, watch it because it's really got a lot of laughs in it. And Madeline Kahn, I think she might have been nominated for an Oscar. If not, she won a Golden Globe. She was great. She was so funny in this movie. So if you get a chance, see it. It will bring a smile to your face. I guarantee it.
So it helped your mood?
It did. Temporarily. Yeah, but it did.
She was great. I liked her in the Fockers, whichever Fokker she did. I don't remember which one she did.
Yeah,
sex therapist. I think I like watching her. She's pretty good.
I'm not a big fan, but I did. I loved that. She was so good in that movie, and she looked beautiful. The way he shot it, I mean, she really looked beautiful in it, without fake.
I am such a big fan of Barbara. I love her voice.
Such a big fan.
As a singer, I love her.
You only use her first name. Wow, you are a big fan.
Babs.
Yeah, I don't even use.
That's it. That's what I was watching.
Nice, Chris.
Well, wait, did it make you feel better?
Yeah, it did. It did.
Temporarily.
It really did.
Good.
That's good.
I watched a bunch of new stuff, but I watched The Courier on Amazon Prime. It's on. It was released a little earlier this year. The Courier is it stars Benedict Cumberbatch and a bunch of other British folks, and it's essentially a story about It's based on a true story. It's a Cold War thriller, and it's basically about a businessman, a regular businessman, who they get to go to Soviet Russia and work with somebody who is willing to help out by giving information to the United States. That's what he wants to do. Anyway, it's a really interesting movie. If you like any kind of John le Carré stuff, where it kind of takes a more hard-edged look at espionage as opposed to, say, James Bond, which is more of a fantasy adventure look at espionage, I think you'll really enjoy it. It was good. It wasn't great. And I think it's partially because I've read so much le Carré and I kind of know how a lot of, it's based on a true story, and I kind of knew where it was going. But it's really good. The other thing about it is, if you watch the trailer kind of plays up the lighter aspects of the film.
So I was going to ask you, because when I saw the trailer, it almost looked like it was a comedy or funny moments in it for an espionage thriller.
Yeah, there are some funny moments in it, and then it gets predictably pretty dark. But it's definitely worth the hour and 50 minutes or whatever it was.
Was he good in it? I love Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, yeah. He's terrific. He it's almost one of those things where you're like, okay, well-educated upper crust British guy. Check. He just kind of does that guy in his sleep. But it was pretty good. Plus it had that whole kind of like late 50s, early 60s vibe to it. Like in the sense that, it's kind of, it's like he's a sales guy, and part of being a sales guy is that he can drink like a fish, things like that. And that was like a legitimate thing that they were looking for, like that he can really hold his booze around these guys so he won't get boozed up with a bunch of Russians and then let something slip kind of deal. So it was definitely worth a watch though. I enjoyed it. Thought it was good.
So where is it playing? Where is it playing?
If that means anything.
Where'd you watch it?
He said Amazon.
Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
So it's an Amazon.
I got Amazon Prime. All right.
On Amazon.
Let me ask you. I saw the trailer for that.
It's streaming on Amazon.
It looked really fun. How does it compare to Bridge of Spies? Because it looked like a similar kind of a story to that Spielberg movie. Did we lose him?
I didn't see either. I'm going to say I didn't say. Yeah, he's deep in thought. I'm going to say it didn't compare at all, even though I didn't see either one of them. But
sounds like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Right. I love spy films. I could watch those all day long.
Yeah. The Bridge of Spies, that Spielberg one,
like in like Flint. Movie. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But
it sounds like my
good.
film Company Man.
That's the one, Sean. I was thinking of.
Use Company. A normal engineer, civilian, to catch a Chinese ring of spies. It's probably my favorite of my FBI
and
films.
my ex-husband
but that's
an engineer for and that was one of the films that they had to watch.
Oh,
I'm sure.
One of my
because
films.
he's a
nice
engineer on the space laser stuff.
Nice.
Lasers.
Ralph, lasers. What are you watching, Ralph?
I'm gonna repeat
laser beams.
I'm gonna repeat what I did on another show, because this is the old trope about never want to meet your heroes kind of thing.
Richard
Dreyfuss.
That guy who wrote the
Richard Dreyfuss.
Deuce.
No, Richard Dreyfuss was in Baltimore this weekend at a horror convention. I didn't go, but
right.
my friend Uncle Al owed me some money for our little analog tape deck I bought him. So I asked him to get, and Richard Dreyfuss is going to be there, and I asked him to get his autograph on a Laserdisc that I have. Let It Ride, not Jaws. Let It Ride. One of my favorite Richard Dreyfuss films.
Appreciate that.
Trotta.
He would if his mind were okay. So first of all, Dreyfuss limps out of where the back room he's in to do this thing. I asked him to put on there to Ralph from Richard. He couldn't even do that. His people, his team said, no, he can't do that because he won't remember what he's supposed to write if you confuse him without just writing his name. Because I also want to put on a to Ralph, best day of my life or something from the movie. I mean, I couldn't even. It cost $80 for him to wait in line for an hour, get this guy's autograph. I was the first.
How much was the deck? How much was the thing you got him?
It was 20. So I was.
Wow!
But there was a couple other things that I got.
He was down $60.
So no, he was down 40, and I said, okay, if you can get a picture of him. Anyway, my point is, he was old and decrepit, which leads me to the film that I'm going to talk about, which is Crime Story.
Oh yeah.
On I think it's on Amazon. I forget where it's streaming. It's him. It was executive produced by him and Mira Sorvino, and he plays an ex-gangster, I guess, 78-year-old gangster who spends the whole movie limping out of an automobile, wearing looks like orthopedic shoes because the guy can barely walk, beating the shit out of anybody he meets. And does
an impression of an Italian guy.
He does an impression of a gangster. He's doing the whole thing, I guess it was produced by those two because I guess they're not getting a lot of roles. Mira Sorvino was a little slightly unrecognizable. I don't know if she's had fate.
Well, how old is she now?
It doesn't. I don't know. It's a strange movie, and he's trying to play a gangster, tough guy. He's doing it in the film because that's what the script says. But I'm telling you, he could barely get out of the car and try to walk down the street. It's just kind of sad to see your heroes grow old, and I'm kind of glad I wasn't at the autograph signing because I don't know if.
But you did get the autograph.
He did, I guess, and he mentioned
unlike the Smithsonian with Star Trek cast.
I was working. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay, I know all 7 originals were there, but I still.
I don't want to be a nerd. That's what he said to me. You know what? He got me a napkin. He got me a napkin or something from it.
So, that's the one the Russian guy was eating at the buffet a lot.
Captain, it was Khan.
That guy.
He put creatures in our bodies.
That guy could eat. He could put it away.
George Takei. Sean, what do you say?
No,
Sean, you're trying to say something. I'm sorry.
I went to a horror convention once with a friend of mine, and we wanted to get Eric Roberts to sign this movie. What was it called? In the Blink of an Eye. That he was in, that I had edited, that I was originally supposed to write, but I got fired off of. So we're in line. Eric Roberts gets it, and he looks at the box and he goes, "Was I in this?" And,
that's a good line.
And then we said,
you said, "Did I write this?"
Name. It's like, oh, okay.
Al mentioned to Dreyfuss that I'm getting this autograph for your doppelganger. My friend looks just like you. And he said, Dreyfuss mumbled something about Dick Cheney, because I guess he played Cheney in France or something. I forget where he played.
Why was he at a horror convention?
Must be for Jaws, I think.
Jaws?
Or he was also
in
The
Fall.
I didn't see The Fall. What's The Fall?
What's that?
You're not missing anything. It's
he was
supposed to
also
be a psychological thriller shot in this area.
He was in Piranha, too. He was in Piranha 3D playing Hooper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he gets.
Was he in Piranha 3D? I don't remember.
The one with,
not Jaws 3D. Piranha 3D.
Jerry O'Donnell, the one Jerry O'Donnell was in, and Ving Rhames.
Or O'Connell.
Yeah.
Oh, is that his name? Thank you, Joe.
Irving.
Dreyfuss plays Hooper. He looks like Hooper with the hat and all thing, and he gets sucked in by a bunch of piranha. But anyway, never meet your heroes, I think. But I hope he's got the autograph because I love that. I do love that film. It's one of my favorite films that he's done. So.
Trotta.
All right, so let's go to the classic. This week, John got to pick the film. You can tell by my hat. He's going to put his on. We'll give you a little signal. Go ahead, start up. What's the film?
Well, I want to talk about, I'm a big film guy. We all love films. I like to describe this film, 1973's The Sting, as I call this a perfect film. And there's not many films I call perfect. This, Jaws, Citizen Kane for me. Those are perfect films. The script is absolutely fantastic. The cast is amazing. And the director, George Roy Hill, did an unbelievable job on this movie. So for people who don't know, if you have not seen it, it's a shame you haven't seen it because it's definitely in one of my I put it in my top 5 best films of all time. It's a movie that I always say if it comes on, I'll watch it. I won't say that for this movie, but if I'm switching channels and the card scene in the train is on, I watch it from that point forward. Always. I always do. This is a movie about con men, confidence men, set in the 30s. And the whole movie's a con. They're always having you look at the left when you should be looking at the right. There are things happening that the audience knows that the cast doesn't know, and vice versa. So you think one thing and ends up being something else. This was made after Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. So the chemistry between Paul Newman and Robert Redford is amazing, and they are great in this movie. Look, the 3 leads, Redford, Newman, and Robert Shaw, who's a great villain, are fantastic in this movie. And I could talk about them for an hour. But what I really wanted to do,
let's jump in.
Show the trailer.
Now, I had 2 trailers to pick from. One is sort of an original that was at the end of my Laserdisc, actually, and the other one was for a Blu-ray re-release. I like the old one better. I felt like it set up the film.
All right, show the old one then.
So let's take a look at that.
I respect your choice as a producer.
Well, we'll see.
Just that music.
Remember that Sting experience? How good you felt? Now, The Sting, winner of 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, is back.
Chicago was the place to be in 1936.
So that's the 1936 Universal Pictures logo.
Until a first-class grifter on the lam from the FBI and a young gaffer from Joliet joined.
You know, Redford didn't see this movie until 2004.
Yeah, he was in Europe when it came out.
2004, though. I mean,
no, I saw a documentary on him. He saw it a couple weeks after he finished The Great Gatsby.
There wasn't a con he couldn't run, and there wasn't a sucker he couldn't gaff. Robert Redford is Johnny Hooker, a young grifter with plenty of moxie.
$3 grand on the red, Jimmy.
But he's a sucker for lady luck.
Tough luck, kid.
And a sap for lady love.
Thanks for the big evening, Hooker. Next time you want to spend $50 on me, mail it.
Come on, will you?
Robert Shaw is the mark. And the underworld is the big Mick.
The name's Doyle Lonigan. You're going to remember that name and get yourself another game.
You owe me 15 grand, pal.
4 jacks.
Then you bait the hook.
Your boss is quite a card player, Mr. Kelly. How does he do it?
He cheats.
He cheats.
Play him on the wire.
The wire's been out of date for 10 years. That's why he won't know it.
Now he's ready for the sting.
He's there. Let's get on it.
Listen to me. Don't go back to your place tonight.
$500,000 to win. Lucky Dan.
Paul Newman and Robert Redford. This time, they might get away with it.
I like that.
So look at it, everyone's smiling. I just love this movie. So a couple things about this movie. The original script, Gondorf, who they wanted for Gondorf, the way it was written, they wanted Peter Boyle, because that's the way it was written. He was a much older guy, kind of slovenly. So it was really about the old guy handing off to the younger guy. George Roy Hill ended up getting involved, and he was good friends with Paul Newman and said, you should really read this script. It's a really good script. And Paul Newman loved the script. And George Roy Hill said, look, you'd be second. You're not the lead. Redford is actually the lead. You'd be second. And Paul Newman, after going back and forth, he agreed to do it. Now, obviously, they changed the script to fit Newman's character, and it works brilliantly. Because Newman was hesitant to do it because he wasn't known for comedy, and he wanted to prove that he could do comedy, which this is plenty of. But so I'm not going to give the plot of the movie. There's just twists and turns. A friend of his gets killed. As part of revenge, they go after Robert Shaw, and the whole movie is about the con and how they do it, and it's intricate in how they do it, and there's all kinds of things happening. But a few things. One, unless you're a music aficionado, nobody knew who Scott Joplin was till this film came out. Marvin Hamlisch put Scott Joplin on the map, who was known for Ragtime, which was actually music in the 20s, even though it was set in the 30s. And George Roy Hill wanted it and said, it doesn't matter. No one will know. Well, The Entertainer ended up being a top 4 hit in 73. So the fact that they could put ragtime music on the map is unbelievable, right? But beyond that, the thing that I really want to focus on is, because everyone focuses on the main 3 characters who are brilliant, it's a supporting cast that makes this movie so great. Harold Gould, Ray Walston, Eileen Brennan, Charles Durning, all these people, like Charles Durning and Eileen Brennan was one of their first films. They were all from the theater with Redford and Newman. So this was kind of first things for them. But Sally Kirkland was in it. Just the peripheral characters work so well.
I don't know the guy's name, but Koning, who was in Midnight Run with De Niro.
Jack Keogh, is that you talking about?
Yeah, he played the guy.
The guy gets his nose.
Yeah, in the bail. Yeah, he's been around for a long time. Yeah,
yes,
a lot of good people.
The whole cast was just so good, and they all had their moments to shine in the movie that made the movie work so much better. But it was such an intricate plot that you think you're following along, and you think that Hooker's going to turn on Gondorf till the very end, because the way they played the feds, Dana Elcar from MacGyver, when you watch MacGyver, he played the head fed. Hey, JJ, you were beautiful. I thought you were the feds. That scene at the end when he pulled, the blood, and even the woman who played the assassin. And if you watch any documentary about the movie, the studio didn't want her because she wasn't pretty enough. And George Roy Hill fought for her because he said, you want someone who's nondescript to throw everybody off of who the assassin is, because, they always get that guy with the gloves. You never see his face or anything till that one scene where he ends up, shooting her. So that worked. And he fought for her and got her, and it worked really well. And to this day, she says she's so grateful to him. But when you watch anything about this film, like I have the, whatever the anniversary it was, the latest Blu-ray, there's a great documentary on it. They all love this movie. They all revere in this movie and talk about how they had so much fun making it. And you can see that on the screen, right? You can see it, that you couldn't make a movie like that today, the way they made it, because like Newman said, it's $16,000 a minute. So you don't have time to have fun and camaraderie and jokes and stuff. You can't do that anymore because it's such a business. But with this, it really worked. And I just think the film is brilliant. It keeps you guessing up until the very end. And even now, by the way, Edith Head, this was her last Oscar. She did all the costumes on it, which was spectacular. 90% of it was shot at Universal Studios, all the reconstruction of Chicago and all that stuff. So it's beautiful to look at. I just love this movie, and it's even though I know everything about it and know the ending, I still get into the story every single time I watch the film. So that's why I recommended it. It's just a wonderful movie that I love, and I hope you guys liked it as much as I did. Maybe not as much as me, but I hope you liked it. So that's my thing.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. Then let everybody talk. It's a bit like Ocean's 11, right? It's that idea that they're letting you in on the plot of the con, except they're keeping things from you,
right?
And it's a little bit of a head fake, especially the whole FBI angle.
It's a con.
Well, they're conning the audience too, because they never let us in on the fact that the FBI is part of the con. So we immediately now, when rewatching it, you realize, okay, now I can see all the little things that they were trying to do. And I loved it. This is not a complaint at all, because even rewatching it, I enjoyed every step of it because of the way they set everything up. The set, I even listed the setup, the con, the all of it, the hook, and then that card game, that poker game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way Newman played that poker game as a boorish dude was fantastic. And the card tricks he did, I know those aren't his hands, but they brilliantly, seamlessly did.
Right.
I never, even now, I still go, how the hell did he pull the 4 jacks out of there? It is a brilliant scene, and I love the way he played. I have one question about that. He says something to Redford right before about gin. Yeah. Filling the thing up with water. Does gin not have a? Can you not tell the
same color?
But can you tell the difference between gin and water? I mean, how would you? Can you sniff gin?
Yeah, but gin does not have as strong as an odor.
Okay, so I guess if you cut a little bit of gin in there, it still smells.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, that's all.
It's a piney
Anyway,
smell.
anyway, I want other people to talk. I love the film.
Mark would see you cutting. Yeah,
and I love George Roy Hill's a genius. You know,
Yeah.
he did Slapshot after this. He's done a bunch of other stuff, and I don't know how the way he decides what music goes in a film. It's just amazing. So anyway, I don't want to. Again, anybody else?
And I do want to say one thing is, and it's sad because people don't play as many musical instruments. But I was playing the piano back then, and man, anybody anywhere near a piano had to play The Entertainer, you know, or a couple Maple Leaf Rag, a couple other Scott Joplin songs. I mean, he was really it. And I do have a set of DVDs, CDs to complete Scott Joplin. Remember CDs?
Yeah.
You know, and it was just an amazing thing. And I mean, I had seen the film. I hadn't seen it in a long time, but so I knew how it ended. But there were a lot of things that were still surprising, and even the performances of the people. You know, the film. It isn't one of those films like once you know how it's going. It isn't like The Village or you know M. Night Shyamalan.
Right.
Yeah, Sixth Sense.
The big twist ending that you know.
So like once you know the thing, you may want to watch it again just to make sure it's true to its twist.
Right. That's right.
But you know this, even though you know the twist, you continue to enjoy the movie.
Well,
every time
because
you
they're so those guys are just great.
And you
Paul
know what's
Newman.
great was the guy who played Shaw's like main bodyguard, the short guy.
Deer Cop.
Yeah, who is that guy?
He was in Butch Cassidy. He was part of the gang.
Yeah,
I mean, he looks like a cartoon character.
Charles Deer Cop, I think, is his name.
Yeah, he was hilarious, and I like it later when you know I think this was a gay reference. It's like when Redford has the scratch on the side of his face, the woman got him with a ring, and he goes, "You don't see any of my boys messing around with women like that." And you know, he looks over him, and there's sort of like that sly smile. You know, it was.
Well,
I love this movie.
One thing this is a weird thing to focus on that I picked up though, is Paul Newman and Robert Redford together to try and figure out who had the bluest eyes. And, you know, you editors will probably, you know, understand it. What makes it, it looked like Robert Redford's eyes were brown. I mean, I couldn't believe how blue Paul Newman's eyes were. And I was trying to get a shot to focus on Robert Redford to see if his eyes were as blue as Paul Newman's.
Yeah.
Just because the two of them were together, you know, in that.
Who's old Blue Eyes? Is that Sinatra? Who's old Blue Eyes?
Sinatra. That's Frank Sinatra.
So they did a colorized version of a Sinatra movie, and they gave him brown eyes in it.
Well, a lot of actors, I don't know if they put contacts in there or they color correct later. A lot of them.
No, there were scenes where his eyes popped blue, but the George Roy Hill, the sets especially, he used all muted colors. So they might not pop like they normally would.
Well, they went with oranges. They went with an orange tone, a rust tone, and you know, so.
But all Paul Newman's eyes are a different color blue too. They're brighter blue than Newman's, but they're both very handsome men. Okay, so I mean, it is what it is.
Drew,
I'm just saying,
Chris, somebody jump in.
Difference between the two men.
Drew, what did you see? Well, this came out in '72, so what are we talking about?
I agree with John's description. I mean, this is one of my all-time favorite films. I think you know, every once in a while the Oscars really get it right and they reward a film that's a great film and a best film of the year, and that's hard because this was up against The Exorcist, which is another all-time classic.
Yeah, wow.
But you know, it's a movie. It's the kind of movie that I really like because I'm not someone that says, oh, I'll only watch this genre or I prefer that genre. I want to see a good movie. And when a movie does what it sets out to do and it does it really well and it becomes more than the sum of its parts, which in this case are already very respectable, I just think that's very satisfying.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, you know, the movie is a con of the audience,
right?
But it's not like we got ripped off. Like
no, it's not a cheat. I'm not saying
that's a compliment because you don't feel conned.
No,
and it makes you not only want to go back and say, wait, let me see if I could see that coming.
Right.
I haven't watched it in many years, and so I remember the FBI twists and everything, but I didn't remember all the details, and it was just really fun to go back and see them again and all that kind of stuff. And also, you mentioned the score, Marvin Hamlisch. I can find you a picture. You can throw it up. Is my celebrity doppelganger across many years. And so he actually won 3 Oscars that night. He won 1 for the adapted score for The Sting, and he won 2 for The Way We Were. On his way to being a real EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony winner. And he's, one of the most incredible forces in music and film music. And I think it's really neat that he took someone who was already a part of, American music history, Scott Joplin, and gave him a kind of immortality with what he did. And I also just like the idea of, remixing music before people use that kind of language and adapting it. The composer Max Richter, he did, this is a few years back now, but still in the 21st century, he did release an album of Vivaldi's 4 Seasons, which everyone knows, which everyone is very familiar with, and he called it Recomposed, and he essentially rearranged them, and they are immediately familiar and also really different, and it's really exciting. And so I think that's kind of a cool thing to do. Malignant actually does the same thing with a Pixies song throughout the score. Where Is My Mind is woven into the score in different ways, not the actual song, but versions of it.
So obvious now. It's so obvious.
So, look, this is a movie. This is a movie that's firing on all cylinders. And
and the way he used the music, the interludes of the music, so there'd be music and then some conversation happen and then some more music and
there was no underscore.
No.
So when there was dialogue, there was no music. It was only only in between that because he didn't want to take away from it, and it also fit with the pace of the movie. The music definitely fit with the pace of the movie.
Yeah.
Now, look, if you were going to remake this movie today, which please don't do that.
Right.
Yes,
I'm sure that you could come up with ways to tighten up here or there. But so instead of 2 hours and 9 minutes, so it'd be 2 hours and 6 minutes. Like there's not a lot of fat on the script. A lot of what you might look at and say this is a little slower is more savoring the setup of it. It's a heist, it's a con, it's all these types of things, but those don't have to be fast because it tightens that tension. And when at the end it releases, and then it releases in ways you don't even realize it's releasing. Like people are shot and then they get up and they're like, well, we got away with it. It's really satisfying.
Well, we talked about on Movie Strange, we talked about that 2-hour Johnny Depp movie that felt like 4 hours, right? This does not feel like a 2-hour movie. Because it's so well structured and so well paced. The Brave. This one just moves along and it's
tight.
And it's tight. And you're with them. You're with them. And it's so funny. There's little hints like, at one point Redford opens his drawer and puts those pellets in his mouth. And I forgot about that. And it's so anyway, Chris, what do you got? Are you frozen again? Oh, it says Chris entering the waiting room, but let's try. Let's see what happens. Who knows what's going to happen here?
Oh, you got
so we're going to
Frozen Caveman
It's
lawyer.
going to be awesome.
Well, hey, look, it's Chris Doppelganger. It's his doppelganger. Look at that.
How this is
Chris,
working.
welcome to the show.
Ganger this episode.
There's your twin brother.
Just take a look at your brother up there. All right, so now you're here, Chris. Talk about the movie.
Oh, I was just going to say, John, a great choice. Obviously, The Sting is The Sting, and it's a terrific film. And I think I just dropped again. But if I didn't...
you're there talking.
Okay, great.
You're everywhere, actually.
Even worse. Too much of me. That being said, one of the things I really appreciated this time around was Robert Shaw. Like, he was fantastic.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this movie probably since I was a kid. I'm sure it was one of those movies that my dad was like, we got to sit down and watch it. And it was good then. So there was a lot of little details that I didn't remember. But Robert Shaw was the thing that really kind of reminded me of how fantastic he is. Like, he's great in the movie. He has this kind of menace to him, and he's so like touchy, like, Paul Newman's being a jerk and everything, but like even the slightest insult, he's just getting so ragingly angry at, and he's just keeping it under the surface. That's what I think almost more than anything. Obviously, Newman and Redford are terrific. I really kind of liked all of the, like you said, this whole kind of rogues gallery.
Yeah.
You mentioned Jack Keogh before.
Yeah.
That whole bar they go into with all those rogues. Those are all character actors in there. Yeah.
Those guys are the Quill.
Jack. I love the word Jack. Yeah, it was Jack. It was Jack, which meant good, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have to throw out a little bit of a hello or thank you to the Baltimore County
Public Library, because
I think he wants to thank the Baltimore Public Library And I think if he was here, he'd say, I'm so thankful. Oh, he's back.
Chris, you just went out again.
Yeah, I filled in for you while you froze.
No, I'm just going to this is unreal. I'm not sure what's going on.
So a little something about Robert Shaw. He sprained his ankle playing handball pretty badly. And he went to George Roy Hill and said, look, I hurt my ankle really bad and it's really difficult to walk. So tell you what, just recast it and it won't cost you anything. I'm not going to, pay or play anything. And George Roy Hill says, well, do me a favor, walk across the room. So he walks across the room with the big limp. He goes, come back. He walks across with the big limp. He goes, don't worry about it. We'll make it work. That's why the limp's in the movie. That's the only reason why the limp is in the movie.
About that. Yeah. Why he played that with
That's the only reason why. No explanation needed. But to Chris's point, this was a very light movie, but the menace, the real threat, is brought by Robert Shaw. And in that card scene, he's like a thermometer as Newman is getting Linneman. Come on, I was just getting good, Linneman. And he's getting redder and redder till he finally blows his gasket. That scene is just great. That whole scene.
Okay. Now I'm going to nitpick a little bit.
Okay, nitpick, Ralph.
Nitpick. And I know they explain this in the film.
Yeah.
That assassin had him in her room. They were in the room.
They explained it.
I understand because the old woman's. But if she's as good as she is, she would have killed him. He would have disappeared. Nobody would have known the difference.
They explained it. They saw them
not only
together,
that, and then the guy.
She's a professional, and she would never do that.
I understand how they explain it.
That is a nitpick.
But even Redford's like, why didn't you kill me then?
They explained it.
And then the assassin.
What was the explanation?
They said because the woman across the hall saw the two of them together. So they said she's too much of a professional. She would never have done that having been witnessed together. That's why she waited till the alley.
I understand.
Which makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Oh, yes. Perfect sense. She
could have killed him in the bathroom, Ralph, when they were hiding.
She had lots of time. That's what I'm saying. Many
That's
times.
What I mean. No.
And then the assassin that's following Redford around, it ends up killing her.
Yeah.
Just, luckily.
Now, I have a question.
Tiny nitpicks. Tiny.
Where's Chris right now? Chris,
Frozen.
Are you there?
No, there he is. He's there. Half in, half out.
He's there.
I have a theory about Chris. You're there?
Chris, she's got a theory about you.
Okay, did you happen to have the vaccine, the mRNA? Did you duplicate yourself?
Is he magnetized? Jesus. Man.
Could be.
I think Yippee-Ki-Yay needs to set up Chris's internet. I'll send the media package, Chris. We keep talking about this.
Because now Drew jumped to the top.
Is Ralph moving squares, Ralph? Are you doing that?
This makes my editing crazy because I got to flip everybody around. This is nuts. So just so you know, Chris, you're adding to my edit time, even though we can't see you.
So, Chris, you hadn't seen this.
Chris, you're muted. Chris, you're muted. On top of everything else, you're muted. Unmute. There you go.
Yeah, that's correct. I probably hadn't seen it since 1980 something.
Wow. So did you remember everything in the movie? I mean,
no, I didn't remember. That's why all the little parts, like the line, all of the details I didn't remember. But I remembered that in the end, I knew that the FBI guys were part of the con.
Yeah.
I remembered that, So it was fun to kind of go back knowing it all, kind of to get that element of it, but also kind of know the ending, but kind of check out the details along the way. Yeah.
I remember when I saw it, you couldn't believe, and they talked about this in the script writing, how are you going to convince the audience that Hooker could turn against Gondorf? People aren't going to buy it. And they really set it up with the FBI. But I remember when I first saw it, and I saw it in the movie theater, I remember how relieved I was when they both flipped over and were alive, because I realized, okay, he didn't turn on him. It was all part of the act.
That's the greatest. It's the greatest trick.
Great.
I mean, that was a great twist.
Yeah.
You thought they were both dead. No question.
Yeah, but I that's actually one of my other favorite scenes of the movie. If correct me if I'm remembering this wrong, but basically the FBI says, in front of Charles Durning, so we've got you. You're going to turn on him, and Redford says, "I'm never going to do that." And then they say, "Well, Luther, the guy whose death started all this, his widow, we could make trouble for her." Right. And Robert Redford really thinks about it.
That's right.
He really takes a moment that's like quite a long moment for what you would expect him to really think about it. And at the end, you realize he's selling you that he's really torn and made the decision. But that's one of the sort of the most underwhelming but convincing parts of the whole con is that like I believe that he'll make that choice.
Right. Yeah.
And he is struggling with that choice, but he can't let anything more happen to Luther's
Like
family.
he had a noble reason to make the choice. Right. That's how he played it.
Yeah. Now I have a question. So Redford knew, Hooker knew that the FBI was fake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the con, he knew. See, that's where they're faking.
But he had to play it straight.
But he was playing it straight for us, the audience. That's why he was
playing it for the guy.
For Charles Durning. So
yes, I understand that, but he never winked at the audience, going, "I know." So he was playing it for us too.
Nobody did that. Nobody winked at the audience.
Well,
that's the one thing I love about this movie.
Listen, that whole painting scene where they go in that Western Union and fake paint the office. I mean, they're winking the whole time, except Redford wasn't winking. Redford never let us in on what he knew, and I'm not. Again, this is not a complaint.
No, I get it.
But watching it now, after this many years, I enjoyed the complexity of what was going on. Now I'm into what they were doing. It's like I said, like Ocean's 11. I love all the complexity of how they're going to pull, and they pulled the rug out from under us too. In that movie, they kept stuff from us, and that's
comparing this to Ocean's 11, I don't know about that.
I mean, I think the DNA of this movie's in Ocean's 11.
Exactly, it is.
Sure. I mean, George Clooney and Brad Pitt.
The love affair. Newman also said it was one of the few times. So the script that they used for shooting, the author, I can't remember the author's name.
David S. Ward.
Okay, Ward. They worked on it together. George Roy Hill and Ward. And Newman said the script when they started shooting was almost entirely what they use. In movies, they usually stray a little bit, improvise, especially with New York actors. He said you didn't have to do it because the script was just it was on the paper when they read it. They had to make some tweaks for Newman's age and they had to build the part up, which I'm glad they did because it really worked. But he said the script was great to start out with, which obviously helps a lot. It is pretty amazing. Chris is just bouncing in and out.
Chris is going to be beside himself.
I think Chris is doing a little con job here. He's getting a little more airtime.
And I normally I edit this to keep everybody, but I'm going to let this go as it is because this is a riot.
To me, the film that my second favorite con film is House of Games.
Oh yeah,
my God!
Lots of
Lindsay Krause and Joe Mantegna, right?
That's a brilliant.
Yeah, film. one of the rare films where I like Lindsay Krause in.
Yeah,
and the other one was
David
the George Roy
Mamet,
Hill film,
Slapshot.
Slapshot.
Right.
I love Slapshot. Yeah, where's Wojo for this? But
bitching about Slapshot.
I don't think George Roy Hill has the reputation he deserves.
I agree with you on this.
Because he did. I mean, he kind of went out, atypically with the Funny Farm. I thought was funny.
I thought Funny Farm was.
It was not A caliber. Little Drummer Girl, not a hit. World According to Garp was. Little Romance, not. Slapshot was a hit. Waldo Pepper was, a big failure.
Yeah, I wish that was a better movie.
But still,
I like Waldo Pepper.
Didn't he do the one that Newman did? Judge something. What was that?
Judge Roy Bean.
Was that
John Huston?
No, that was.
Oh no, you're right. It wasn't John Huston.
You're confusing your Roys.
Yeah,
I thought he did that one too. No,
I think he was definitely one of the better directors of the 70s. I'm including Butch Cassidy.
Well, they said Newman and Redford both said that they agree with you, but they think the problem was he was a director that was more like John Ford, John Huston, kind of tyrannical, authoritarian, and he kind of went against the grain with the studios. So they said that kind of didn't help his reputation as a director, which is a shame because he's done so many great films and they stand to this day. But that's what they said. They said it's a shame that he hasn't gotten the kind of recognition.
Yeah, but when you read the behind the scenes, he and Newman are having pranks against each other. He goes on a 4-day bender with Robert Shaw, who's I guess a super aggressive ping pong player. Like the guy is mental about ping pong.
The assassin there, what's her name, Celino, praised him because she said they put her in that ugly wig. And she said, it makes me look so bad. Why would you want me in this? He goes, well, let me ask you a question. As an actress, would I want her, whatever her name was, to wear this wig? And she goes, well, no. He goes, well, as an assassin who's trying to blend in, would you wear this wig? And she was like, oh, okay, now I get it. So that makes perfect sense. And that's, that's an actor's director. So, and the other thing was when she got shot, she was supposed to get shot in the chest, not in the head. And he goes, well, why don't we try it in the head? And back then, they used to do this thing with a button. You put makeup over the button with a piece of string, and there's red underneath it. You pop the button and it looks like a bullet shot. No, this they used like a pellet gun with a little blood thing that they shot at her head, and it just exploded. So they did it.
Brave actress.
They did it. Well, she said, well, I'm worried about, getting one in my eye. And they went to this. She said that the stunt guy who was going to do it was like this grandfather. Just this old guy. And she goes, do I have anything to worry about? He goes, oh, no, we do this a lot and we almost never miss. God. So they did one take and she shut her eyes. And Roy Hill went up to her and said, look, I need you to keep your eyes open. And she goes, we got to do this again. She goes, yeah, because you would keep your eyes open. And that's the take that they use where her eyes go wide and boom. But when I heard that's the way they did it. I was like, oh my God, crazy. You got to be sure about that.
We got Chris, anything you want to say before you shut off again? Because
Chris, use sign language.
Did you like the movie? Reveal what con you've been running, because you've definitely made me look to the left.
Did you just do this? Do this once, Chris. Just do this. Come on, do this. There you go. Do.
I'm sorry, guys. I actually switched to like my Ethernet cable. It's still just.
That's all right.
Chris, don't worry about it. It doesn't take away how good the movie was.
Let's rate the film now before Chris goes again.
Chris.
We got Yippee-Ki-Yay, Yippee-Ki-Nay. What do we got? Come on. It's how. Let's start with Chris before you go. What do you got?
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
All right, good. John?
Well, you know me. Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Yep. Sean, Debbie?
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Yeah, nice.
Drew?
Yeah, Yippee-Ki-Yay, of course.
All right. Ralph, I'm so glad. Ralph, can I make one suggestion for next week rather than, because I was looking at the hits that the movies get, and the round robin ones seem to get more hits. So maybe we should do a round robin one next time.
No, because Debbie and I are next, and
you did one prior. You did one before Debbie.
Nice try.
So Debbie,
nice try. No, I feel jacked. I feel jacked about this. So speaking of which,
you're not the quill. You are not the quill.
I'm glad you brought that up, because here we go. You're out. Okay?
That's all right. Listen, I brought the sting. I'm happy.
That's me and Debbie. Debbie, you ready?
This is such crap. You're on this again. It's my show, and I can do what I want. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's just great. If you were a leader, you would say, you know what? I'm going to give up my chance this week. Let Debbie go, then I'll go the following week.
I already have my pick.
You selfish prick.
Here's my pick. I'm giving you guys 2 weeks to watch The Thief, not The Thief.
Oh, with James Caan.
James Caan,
Michael Mann. Oh, nice. Is that 70s or 80s?
70s.
Okay.
Definitely 70s. It's on Criterion.
But it's got an
early
80s to it.
It's early 80s.
I'm sorry, is that 80s?
This is a film you don't even know well, Ralph?
82 or 83.
Oh, good. I thought it was 70s. It was either going to be this or the Gene Hackman film that I just watched where he plays a detective.
Night Moves?
No. Night Moves. But I'm going to go with Thief because I
love James
because
Caan.
it's Michael Mann. Everything Michael Mann's ever done is in this film.
It's 1981.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was.
And it's streaming on the Criterion channel.
Yep. Lots of little extras on there too. So,
well, if you don't get the Criterion channel,
let me know because I have it and I can send it.
Oh yeah, send it. I don't have it, so send it.
It'll be Laserdisc, so there'll be a flip in the middle.
That's okay. Just old school, nice.
Because I don't have it. So
you don't have it?
Can you play a little Scott Joplin? Will we get copyrighted?
Anybody got a piano?
Sean, you got a piano, don't you?
No, that's the only thing I can't put in this house.
He just has this keyboard right here.
Oh,
the computer keyboard?
I don't think you can play it on that. All right. Just so everybody knows, I am not going to try to keep Chris was bouncing in and out so many times. We're just going to go as it was, raw like this. So I try to keep it clean.
All I can say is if we're doing a live stream, you'd have to do it. So what the hell?
It stays on.
It stays on.
All right, everybody. Have a good couple of weeks. Thief is the film. Take a look at it. We'll do that. And then, Debbie, you're lucky. You get to do the last one before we do our next round robin.
Save the best for last, Debbie. The best for last.
The best is yet to come.
All right, everybody. Have a safe couple of weeks.
Maybe Forbidden Planet. Who knows?
We'll see you soon.
Deep Throat.
Oh,
subscribe. Subscribe. Share.
Slam.
Please.
Slam.
Slam the like button. Slam the like button. Smash it.
You guys.
Okay, now
Don't hit too hard. You might pop Chris out.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't want Chris. Hang in there, baby. Hang in there.
I don't know what's happened this time around, guys.
All right.
All right, guys. Media kit's on the way, Chris. Don't worry about it. Over and out.